Hello, friends. We will continue the story of Swami Vivekananda, which I posted in my last video. So, we will continue that. We had ended that part where Swami Vivekananda was given the name of Vibhishananda. Now, the disciples devoted themselves to the spiritual practices intensely. Soon, Swami Vibhishananda heard the inner call for a greater mission in his life. He received the blessings of Sharda Devi, wife of Ramakrishna, known to the world as the Holy Mother, and then renounced the world and traveled throughout India as a wandering monk. In 1899, Varnagar Mutt was shifted to Belur and is now famously called the Belur Mutt. Swami Bibhishananda travelled far and wide through the extent of the country, visiting many holy places. He was deeply shocked to see the poverty and backwardness of the masses. During these multiple travels, Swami Bibhishananda gained acquaintance and stayed with scholars, divans, rajas, government officials, and people from all strata and walks of life: Hindus, Muslims, Christians, and outcasts. It was around this time, in 1893, that Swami Bibhishananda changed his name to Swami Vivekananda on the suggestion of his close friend and devoted disciple Maharaja Ajit Singh of Khetri. During the course of his wanderings, Swami Vivekananda heard about the Parliament of the World's Religions to be held in Chicago, US in 1893. His friends urged him to attend it. Swamiji agreed to go on the trip after he got a divine call during his meditation on the rock island at Kanyakumari. Finally, with the funds partly collected by Swami Vivekananda's disciples from Madras, now called Chennai, and partly provided by the Maharaj of Khetri, Swami Vivekananda left for Chicago from Bombay in May 1893. His journey took him through Japan, China, and Canada, and he arrived in Chicago in July 1893. As soon as he arrived abroad, Swami Vivekananda learnt that he would need an endorsement from a known organization. He felt isolated in the foreign land. Taking pity on Swami Vivekananda, a lady provided him with food and shelter. On learning about his situation, she introduced Swami Vivekananda to Professor John Henry Wright, who taught at the prestigious Harvard University. During his discussions with Swami Vivekananda, Professor Wright realized the true merit of Vivekananda's knowledge, and he wrote a letter endorsing him. Armed with Professor Wright's healthy endorsement on 11 September 1893, Swami Vivekananda finally arrived at the Parliament of World's Religions. Swami Vivekananda created quite a sensation at the convention when he addressed the gathering as Sisters and Brothers of America. The entire audience rose to its feet and applauded hysterically for 2 minutes before some order was restored in the hall. His speeches at the Parliament of World's Religions made him famous as an orator by divine right and as a messenger of Indian wisdom to the Western world. Despite being a short speech, it voiced the spirit of the Parliament and its sense of universality. He spoke several more times at the Parliament on topics related to Hinduism and Buddhism. Swami Vivekananda gained almost instant popularity in the US and was extensively covered by the newspapers. He was met with great appreciation and respect wherever he went. Swami Vivekananda spent a good deal of time spreading messages about the holy Hindu scriptures as taught by Sri Ramakrishna in the US and also in London. He established the Vedanta Society in New York in 1894. In 1895, Swami Vivekananda traveled to England. He gained immense popularity there as well. There he met Margaret Elizabeth Noble, who later arrived in India and dedicated her life towards following principles and teachings of Swami Vivekanand. She spent the rest of her life educating women and helping in India's struggle for independence. She was more popularly known as Sister Nivedita, a name given by Swami Vivekanand. In 1896, Swami Vivekanand traveled to England once again. This time, he met the famous German ideologist Max Muller, with whom he had several enlightening discussions about Hindi scriptures with philosophy. Both were very impressed with each other's knowledge. Their interaction culminated in a strong and lasting friendship. Swami Vivekanand finally returned to India in January 1897. Swami Vivekanand first set off for Rameshwaram in India and continued his journey towards Madras and from there into Calcutta. From his spiritual discourses in the West, Swami Vivekanand then turned his attention towards the social inequality in India. He worked tirelessly towards removing poverty and the caste system, and also called for an end to British colonial rule over India. His speeches greatly influenced future leaders of the Indian independence movement like Mahatma Gandhi, Bal Gangadhar Tilak, and Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose. Thank you.